We are live with potentially the final RFHL podcast. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope you're well. It is Monday, not Wednesday. And you are being hosted today by Rob the Mayor. And I am joined by all of the Podge producers this season. Shout out to them, Maston and 2.0. Maston, how are you doing tonight?
Doing really well. Looking forward to the championship on Wednesday.
Watching it, I'm assuming.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be there to watch. Yes, sir. And then I believe I'm going to partake in the Scrub Cup as well. So that may be, awesome. As we all say, the rest of the 6 teams who are left, that may be the more important game. So,
or exciting.
Exactly.
As well as we got 2.0, who sadly had his exit last week. How you doing today, too?
I'm still hurting. I'm still looking for the beach you were on last week. It looked awful nice, but instead I played a round of golf yesterday in the rain, and it just wasn't the same. So,
it's a bummer. Yeah, I'm on a cruise to. I don't know where we're going, but we're just living life right now, and enjoying the weather. I think I'm on my way back up to Rochester, up the canal, essentially, just so I can get back for the Scrub Cup on Wednesday.
On the Colonial Bell, that tour boat that everybody has to ride on in like 4th grade to learn about the New York State history and everything.
Yeah.
If you know, right?
Get right. Low going under the bridge.
There's a song.
Do you know the song, Messon? You want to?
Oh man, I don't think I could do it. My kids were singing it a couple years ago, and I got another one coming up in 4th grade, so maybe it'll come back up to me.
Yeah. Study it so you can sing it for us in the fall.
Will do.
All right, cool. All right, let's just dive in. I mean, we had 2 awesome games last week. We're not going to spend too much time on them because we're going to have some awesome guests with us today on this show. We're going to have one person from each team that's been sadly departed from the playoffs so far. We're going to talk about how they felt their season went, what they thought about their team, what they hated about their team, what they loved about their team, and everything they love about the RFHL. But before we get into that, let's talk about who won last week, who lost last week. The 7:00 game, we had Meteor Mayhem just come flying out the gates with a huge pull ahead. I'm sorry, Fukushima with the pull ahead. Meteor just couldn't get back into it. Fukushima pulled off a 6-4 victory. 2, you caught the end of that. How did you feel about that game?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised at the jump. I feel like Meteor's been the team that jumps out most of their games with a little bit of spunk, and so to see it kind of flipped around, especially because playoff Brett is the real deal. So it was surprising to see playoff Brett, have I don't want to say they were soft. They weren't bad goals. They were just they I think one of them caught him off guard, and then there was another one before his own team scored, and I think that when you play net, you start to get that sense of if more than one goal gets in a row to start a little early, you kind of start to worry is it going to be one of those games? And I don't know if he was thinking that or not, but it just seemed like it was definitely a caught a little flat footed or caught off guard to start. And Fukushima came out pretty hungry.
Yeah. And just was too much for Meteor to kind of get back in the lead and take over there. And then at 8:00, we had just a phenomenal goalie game from Mark. And not to go too off the rails here, Kaz also had a phenomenal game in the 7:00. So playoff Kaz is not something to sleep on. We'll get into it when we talk about the finals. And I mean, just to talk about it real quick, goalies in general, both games, 7:00 game and 8:00 game, had second period shutouts from both goalies. Absolutely insane. The 7:00 game, I think we went 26 minutes without a goal. It was absolutely crazy. And then in the 8:00 game, Mark, he made a comment to me afterwards based off the podcast, and he said there was no dreidels tonight, is what Mark said to me after the game. Proof that he watches the podcast. Shout out to Mark. But Les Tremblements just came out huge with a victory, 5-2 over the Firestorm Hockey Club. Rob, did you happen to catch any of the streams last week?
I have to admit I did not. I had some prior obligations with my kids that I wasn't able to. But when I saw the result, I wasn't too surprised. Playoff Mark, like you said, playoff Steve, were very, very capable of stealing games. And from the score that I saw, it seemed to be the case. It was just both teams that lost last week kind of ran into a hot goalie. And the floor players on both teams are really good defenders as well. So, just not kind of expectant and kind of down. It's a little bit of both, but an 8 seed goes. The 8 seed led by Mark goes to the championship for the second consecutive season. It's kind of as somebody who faced Mark, we were in the prior round. Seeing how he played, I was not surprised at all by that. So, and then knowing Kazmark as I do with how he's been playing since he started goalie, not a surprise at all.
Yeah, he made a comment to me last week, and I think it was 3 out of his 4 seasons in net now he's made the finals.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Keep that in mind for all these people that keep drafting Kaz like in the middle of the goalie draft. 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4. It's 2.0. Before we start bringing in our guests, I figured you got to be able to speak your piece on what you thought, how you felt that playoff game, Ken. When I felt like you, honestly, when you got that first goal, I thought you were going to start bringing some life to that game and kind of almost find a way to take over. But Mark, again, just was locking you guys down.
Yeah, it was one of those games where it just felt like I told the guys afterwards that I put a lot on my shoulders because I felt like for a team as good as Le Tremblements are, I was still getting chances, and I felt like the chances were there, but I wasn't hitting or I wasn't getting home. And then that starts to wear on you, right? So when we finally scored and I finally got that first goal for us, I thought maybe it would be kind of like that breakthrough. Okay, the chances are still coming, and now I feel like the monkey's off the back a little bit. But it was just all around. I think the final score, I'm gonna like save face for my teammates here a little bit. I think the final score wasn't really telling because twice I think we were within 1 goal. And then when we were down 3-2, I think it was maybe like 5 minutes left. We were just frustrated all game. They did a great job of frustrating us. So we started just taking risks. And that's when they got the 2 extra goals and it made it look a little further apart than it was. But I think that was a 1-goal game for 40 out of the 45 minutes of play. Yeah. So, they were a tough team and they're going to be a great finals matchup for Fukushima. So I was joking with Mark afterwards and I said, were you thinking about the shutout a little bit? And he kind of gave me this smirk and he's like, no. And I know you meant yes. Don't lie to me, Mark. You're watching this and I'm going to tell you, I know you're lying to me. You were thinking shutout with 10 minutes left. God damn it. So we were ready for it. And they still brought it. We were ready for the game plan that they were going to play against us. And honestly, I don't want to like toot our own horn a little bit, but they played our game against us. They played our style, Firestorm style against us, and it worked. And they played great. They were patient and they waited for the chances, and they got them, and they made them converted better than us. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, that to go back to your first goal, I thought that first goal was a beaut because it looked like Sweet was going to take the puck and when you scored that goal, and it almost looked like a diversion play. It was weird, and I think Mark kind of bid on it. It looked like Sweet was going to take the puck, crash to the net, and you kept the puck and took a nice little snipe. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said about that score. The score reminds me of watching any NHL playoff game, and then the team pulls their goalie with 4 minutes left, and then the other team scores 2 or 3 empty netters just because you're in desperation mode. Kenton played a great game. I mean, again, goalies second period shutouts. So neither goalie failed, I think, this past week on all 4 teams. It's just one team's got to win, and those teams won, and we've got a really exciting finals ahead of us next week.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, 2.0, why don't you get us started here? Why don't we bring in our first guest? I think it's time. We talked about last week's game. We're going to get moving to talk about the finals, but let's talk about this past season. Let's bring in one person from each team that is sadly on their own cruise ship.
Yeah, so I'm going with this late night theme. So our first guest tonight needs no introduction. He played a fantastic season for Meteor Mayhem. He was right near the top of points. I actually, was he top of points, top of goals?
Yes.
Right in there, just like he was a 45-year-old again. So all I gotta say is our first guest needs no introduction, just like he doesn't need any defensive game planning beyond expecting him to shoot. We've got Paul Paradine.
That was awesome. I appreciate that, boys. Been a long time since I've had the opportunity to be on something like this. I remember the very first Circle of Jerks way back in the day. So it's really happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, Paul. I mean, great season, and I just got to give you a huge shout out. No knock against you, because I know you live a busy life, but you had a perfect attendance this season, and that was just, to me, stats and everything that you had this season were great, but perfect attendance. I mean, applause. Just my hat tip to you. Great job. Great to be there for your team every game this season.
No, I appreciate that, Bob. I openly admit, I'm kind of busy. No excuse, but had a couple of rough seasons. And Bob actually texted me before the draft and said, "Hey, Paul, you're actually going to show up."
It was an off season for him not to have to fly to Bermuda during the playoffs or something like that, right? So
right. Yeah. So, and I also talked to Sweet, and this league is full of, I mean, to be honest, full of just so many incredible players and dedicated players and friends and camaraderie. It's fair to expect a player to be there. It's not fair to take a spot from all these amazing people that want to play in this incredible league. So I put a lot of thought into it. Jeff had reached out to me and say, "Paul, what do you think?" I said, "Okay, I'm going to make sure I'm there this year." And obviously I want to be. It's a fantastic league, my favorite league that I play in, and I do play in quite a few. So my favorite, I mean, by far, it's just such an incredible place to just be with friends and to play some great hockey. So I showed up to see. I hit a deer, rented 2 cars, still made every game, and it was rough, but I had a great time.
I'll say real quick before I turn it back to the mayor for the hosting questions he's got for you here. But I said this about another player a few weeks ago, early on in the podcast. But Paul, the league's better when you're around, man. And I think a lot of people, that you're a familiar face. You've been around for a long time. You're a tent pole for the RFHL. But the league's better when we have you here. So we were glad to have you this season.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that a lot. And it's been an incredible run. RFHL is more than even just the league. We have the summer league now. We've played in Lakeshore hockey and had some success there. We've taken guys from the league to the North American Championships down in Philadelphia and done very well. We've taken players to ice hockey. I know you've had a couple of ice hockey championships. I mean, this is a whole thing that started out at the YMCA on Monroe Avenue and is spread out into all different areas, and it's been very successful. So I know Frankie right now is one of our goalies, is playing very well in NBHL. I mean, it's just fantastic. So
it's like you're a scout and you're just hanging out in the RFHL, just grabbing all the talent. Well, Paul, let's take a quick flashback on your season. You guys had a great run. You guys kind of did a little trampoline up and down the standings there, but you seem like you always stayed in the upper half. Do you have any highlights from the season? Any games that stood out to you that were your favorite games, or anything that was just a good standout performance for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bob put a fantastic team together. I think honestly there was maybe some questions about that, in the sense that we're older players, right? There's no denying that we are an older team, probably I guess the oldest team in the league. So rightly so, people would ask, what kind of team is that going to be? How's it going to look? And I think Bob did a phenomenal job of putting a great group of guys together who, we had quite a bit of hockey experience, but that meant that we had to play a certain way. And I think maybe we started out the first game or two playing like 20-year-olds and realized, hey, we're not 20, we're not 30, we're not even 40, so most of us. So I think to answer your question, Ryan, I think the first couple of games were just really learning what kind of team we were, and recognizing that, hey, we got to draw on our strengths, and that was the experience kind of dictating the play of the game, slowing it down a little bit, maybe using a little more hockey sense. So that kind of developed as the season went on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because I feel like that was what, at least for me, right off the draft, I knew was going to be the most dangerous part about your team. I mean, you've got a great defensive core between Bob and Dave King. Like, that's just a very strong defensive core. But like the hockey knowledge between your whole team, and then having a great goalie like Brett, you guys were dangerous. It was just, you guys knew how to play yourselves, put yourselves in the right positions, and it was hard. I mean, at least for my team when we played against you guys, it was hard to figure out where can we be, even though we have a good idea of what's going to happen next. We still couldn't find ways to get around it, and it made you guys a very scary team. If was there anything new this season, like any new players that you haven't had a chance to play with that you enjoyed playing with?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to comment on, one of the reasons I wanted to join tonight was just to mention like what a great season this was. It was a truly, I mean, I've played almost all the seasons except for I believe 2 since the very beginning, and it's one of my favorite seasons simply because of that. And you guys have mentioned on the podcast here the new rookie class. I think it really added a lot of life to the league. I mean, there was I think Jake, one of the best rookies I've seen in a long time. Fantastic player. You could tell right away he's got that ice hockey background. Just a really, really incredible player. And not just him. The other rookies in the league were phenomenal too. I think it was. I mean, we call him Young Cody on our team. He's like 35. You know, on our team that's young, but you know, he was phenomenal. Like, I think really underrated. I think in terms of his draft position, I think he's going to go higher next year. He's a great player. A couple guys from the RFHL that I recognize. I mean, just a lot of good, you know, influx of talent into the league, and just good guys too, right? So I think that was my favorite part of the season, was just seeing those new faces.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Paul. Before we depart you from this podcast, why don't you give us some insight? What are your predictions for the finals this Wednesday?
You know, one of the things, just to briefly talk about our game, you know, this league, there's so much parity, right? There used to be a day when you'd play certain teams, and you know, okay, we're going to win this game. There'd be, you know, double-digit scores. Those days are gone. I mean, look at the scores in the playoffs. You know, 6-8. Look at the scores during the season. I mean, there's just, I think it's for the better. You know, there's just so much parity in the league now. You got to be ready, and that game we weren't ready. I mean, I showed up late. Unfortunately, I had to work. You know, we were kind of off our game, and the first period killed us. Honestly, we're not built to come back. We're built to dictate the play during a game and not to chase. You know, the second period we tied, third period we won, first period we lost, and they scored enough to win. You know, and that's not the type of game that we needed to play, and unfortunately, it killed us. You know, so I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's the type of game that's going to win the championship. It's going to be the team that's focused, that's ready, that's disciplined, that doesn't make mistakes, that's really on their game. And you have one bad period, you know, one bad game, and you're done. So I really think that's what's going to win. And I think Les Tremblements is probably my favorite, simply because I think they have a really good team dynamic. They got a phenomenal goaltender. Both goaltenders. I mean, Rob, you're coming about Steve. It's spot on. What a phenomenal goaltender. He's been playing so well the last couple of seasons. He played certainly very well in our game against him. Just a great goaltender. And so I believe both goalies are fantastic. But I really think that, you know, that Les Tremblements has just a good mix and a good balance. So that's my pick.
Awesome. Ryan 2.0 or Rob, you got anything for Paul before we say goodbye?
I've always wondered, and sorry to bring up a theme from past seasons, but Paul, how did you find out about how did you get into the league?
So I came down to the U.S. from Canada, actually, where I played in the Canadian, you know, the Toronto Ball Hockey League, the Ontario Ball Hockey.
Yep.
Played in the Canadian national team when I was like 16 or something like that. You know, so I played ball hockey my entire life, and when I came down, I was looking for something, you know, somewhere to play, and I literally Googled ball hockey, New York, and this league came up. I called up the YMCA, and Dan was working at the time at the office that was above the Pizza Hut across the street from the Monroe gym. I met him at the Pizza Hut. Went up to the little office there. He took me over to the gym, and and we went from there. So that was the second season, I believe. So yeah, it was a while back.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool because it's and you've been involved in getting like players like Shane Ryan and some other players into the league as well. So it's like I just like to hear from this has been a good season about hearing everybody's story, especially like you and Kurt who've been here for like the longest, and Dan obviously. Just getting those stories, I think it's pretty cool to see how everybody kind of got into this fraternity. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No problem. Anytime someone comes from any of these other leagues that I play in and move to upstate, and they always reach, hey, Paul, where's the good side? I recommend it above anything else. The best league I play in. So, appreciate it.
And coming all the way from Ithaca too. That's the other thing. Like if Paul misses a game, it's like, well, it was kind of 2 hours away, and it's like, and he's working his butt off. So yeah.
Audible has made a lot of money off of me. A lot of It's been a good run, boys, and look to carry it forward. And I love all you boys, all the guys in the league, and it's been and girls. I mean, some great women play in our. It's been phenomenal. So actually, some of the women that play in our, Leanie, a couple of the others, I play with them. I'm now in my World Championship World Ball and Deck Hockey Federation team. We played in the Dominican Republic together. So long-term friendships there with the women were phenomenal too. Ellen's had a phenomenal season. So
yeah.
Women
so
women.
So you're still playing with Leanie then? Okay. I wonder what happened there. That's good. I'm glad we still got that RFHL connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's been a great run, and love the league and look forward to it, boys.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, bud. All right. Well, moving on. We've got a wonderful individual coming up here next. And I definitely have to say our next guest definitely needs an introduction. If this episode doesn't average about 6.78 comments against average, he'll probably blame himself for getting us canceled. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew McCarchuk.
Love that introduction.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hello, sir. How are we doing this evening?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me tonight, guys.
You're starting strong, Matt. Starting strong. Got to pick it up a little.
I'm just glad that you came through for me on this. You came through. I know you originally you had other things going on, but we needed somebody from Tipsy, and you were the only one to respond. So I appreciate you being here.
Hey, happy to be here. I'm glad it worked out.
Literally what he told me. Basically, he could have sent me a Hunger Games meme just saying I volunteer as tribute. So I appreciate it. So you, I think, have had another stellar season in net. I mean, you're going on your 4th season in the RFHL now, I think.
That's
and
correct.
I feel like you've only gone up. I feel like is your ability as a goalie in the league. You've done phenomenal every season, and just standout performances, and it's showing. And it's and I'm real proud of you. And I'm glad that you joined the RFHL and that you're here. How do you feel about how this season went for you guys? I know it was a first round exit for you, but I feel like you guys definitely put up a fight all year. How do you feel?
You know what? Even though we were first round exit, it was a fun season to play with all these guys. Honestly, I love everyone on the team that I played with. It was generally a good time talking with everybody. And I think I said it in the first podcast here that was Noobs' plan when he said he drafted us was I want a team that's good at communicating. But the more that I got to know these guys, like playing with them and texting, everyone's just such good people on this team that we still text now almost, I don't want to say every day, but we're still texting after we're out of the season now. So
they're trying to catch up to the Firestorm team chat on Discord. And I got to tell you, you got a couple thousand messages to go. I'm sure of it.
Just ask Paul Fredman.
Yeah, the look that he gave me when Sweet told me, he overheard it and he just turned and looked at me and gave me the
Yep. Paul was like, yep, I concur.
Paul's great because he doesn't say anything, and then all of a sudden he comes in with like the comment of the day, and then he'll disappear for another like 6 days. It just works.
kind of similar to the question I asked Paul. Is there anybody that on this team that you have never played with that was kind of like a standout performer for you this season?
Kind of a double whammy. Both Conco and Shane. Both of them I didn't play with, and unfortunately we lost Conco. I think it was week 2, and then Shane came in and filled in. And I know I've heard great things about Conco. Like, obviously I played against him and he's always genuinely a nice guy. And then I think Shane played on your team, Rob, last season, or was it 2 seasons ago?
Actually, I've never played on the same team with Shane Ryan. I just know him really well from when we were playing during the pandemic. We had our ball hockey outside. So,
gotcha. I think it was Rob Anders.
I'm sorry, Rob Anders. Okay,
yeah,
I forgot about the 2 Robs in the room.
So, and it was nice getting to play with both of them instead of like playing against them, because I know they're both really good hockey players. I hate playing goalie against them every time, so it was nice having both of them on the team to play with, and I just wish they were both out there at the same time.
And so you had a nice standout rookie on your team, Westgate. How do you feel like Westgate kind of acclimated to the league and performed for you guys, especially because he was very, especially a good conversation I had with him on the podcast, defensive minded. How did that feel for you on your team?
Amazing watching him on defense. And you're absolutely right. When I think of defense on our team, he was always picking it up. And I feel like he only got better as the season went on. There was multiple games that like we would finish and I would go right over to him. And I'm like, I saw this block. I saw you hustling behind the net. I saw you rushing up there. You're diving in front of shots. It's just, he just escalated up and just was consistently a great defensive player that never gave up on the play. So I feel like he transitioned really well from Westgate to the actual gem.
Just a follow on. I got a follow on question to that. What was it like being the 3rd best Matt on the team?
Ooh, yeah, the triple M's on the triple T. Yeah, it was. I had some tough competition this season with the M's, but I tried my best for them. I tried my best.
I'm just picking on you. It was too good to be true. We were like, I think week 1, we were going through like the podcast producers and then some of us who were doing broadcasts, and we're looking at the teams, and I'm like, this team's gonna suck to call games for, because it's gonna be like Matt passed to Matt, and the puck goes back to Matt, and Matt covers up, and Matt takes the freeze, and Matt passes to Matt, and so I had to throw that in there. I've been waiting all season for it.
You know, I kind of to follow off on the Matt story before I get into your prediction on the finals, Matt. I feel like you need to tell the class in the podcast a little insight. I mean, not only do I know, we don't have to talk about how much your team hates me, but when it comes to your team chat, can you tell everybody the preseason chat story that you have involving the triple Matts?
Trying to think of what the preseason one. Oh, was it when we added in a random number?
Yes.
Yeah. So when we so Noob's got all the numbers together to start the chat and text. And as we're all talking, we're trying to figure out what Matt is which, and we're getting it all mixed up because we're like, oh no, this is Matt. And then I saved the numbers as the other Matt, but with a different last name. And so they were flip-flops. And as we're trying to figure it out, I'm like, who's this other number in there with like a weird area code? So I looked it up and it was like some Malaysian number. And I'm like, there's someone across the world that's getting all these texts at like middle of the day, and we're waiting for him to pick up hockey with us. So actually a few weeks ago, I think it might have been Matt Whitmire. He made a comment where he's just like, dude, we're almost done with the season. Where is this guy? He's running late.
Hey, if you're going to Pete Hegseth a chat, you might as well talk strategy for RFHL instead of strategy for wartime stuff.
No, I do want to make a quick comment though. So I talked about what I really liked about our league, and some of you know that I'm into stats, right? And I like to consider myself a Bob sometimes, maybe not that much, but I actually have a graphic here for what I think our biggest problem was. And Rob, there's the problem right there. So thanks for nothing there, pal.
Oh, buddy.
I thought he was going to go full airing of grievances here. He led that off, and I thought he was going to say, I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it.
So to give you a little bit of context on this one, middle of the season, this has got to be the best running joke that our team has had. I would say maybe early middle of the season, there was a game where we needed a sub, and I really emphasized that I did not want to play with Rob because how much I hate him. And obviously, like, I'm joking. Rob's the one that got me into the league. Him and I are very close friends, but the team didn't really know that. And then we kind of just stuck with it. And it just became a running joke with everybody. So any problem that we had, whether it was with the league or even like personal life, we'd be like, oh man, freaking Rob Anders, man. It's all his fault. So there was a couple of games that we had too, where I think Kyle Crick was telling me we were losing. It was like second intermission. I'm catching my breath and like cooling off by the door. And Kyle comes over to me. He's like, hey, I don't know if this will make you feel any better, but I just told Rob I'm blaming this loss on him. I'm like, yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, that does make me feel better.
I literally walked into the cafeteria one day after their game, and they all just started cussing me out. It was just like, he's here. He's the freaking reason I hate you. I was like, oh, man. It's been going on for weeks.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Rob did absolutely nothing. And I told the team eventually, because I think Kyle even asked, he's like, I was going to ask, what did Rob do to you? And I'm like, oh, absolutely nothing. I just love the fact that everyone just ran with it, and now it's just a running joke.
And these group chats, we gotta leak the chats.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, before we bid you adieu, dude. Well, actually, before we go in the finals, I'm gonna do this a little different. To or Masson, you guys have any questions for Matt before we get his prediction on the finals?
No, I know how he got into the league, so
yeah, and I
know
kind of
how
already asked him about being the third best Matt, so I think we're all set there.
Cool. Well, Matt, your season is over, but we get to watch. We're both playing in the Scrub Cup Wednesday. What are your predictions for the final on Wednesday?
You know, I was thinking about it before I joined tonight, and I mean, if I had to pick between the two, it's going to be a tough game because I do think Le Tremblement is very balanced, and then it's Fukushima, right? I want to make sure I got that right before I said it, but playing against them and them being the one that eliminated us, I'll tell you what, and I think I told you this, Rob, after the game, like I've played against Fulano like many games over the past 4 seasons. That was probably the most difficult game I played against Fulano. I don't know what it was, but I just feel like he turned everything up to 11. And if he can do that again in the championship, I think Fukushima is going to walk away with it. I think they're just too fast of a team that they can wear down the other team for 3 periods.
It's a solid prediction. So we've got one vote for Le Tremblement, one vote for Fukushima. So, well, Matt, I appreciate it. Thank you for joining the Podge. Thank you for being the tribute for your team. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
See you Wednesday. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, Matt.
2.0. Why don't you bring in our next guest?
Sure. So our next guest is an RFHL player, and his appearance will probably make you notice him a little bit more than you might have ever noticed him in any of his games. Joining us from Storm Surge, Dan Thiesing.
Hello, guys. Thank you very much.
He is definitely an RFHL player, guys. I assure you. He passed the credentials in order to be here.
He's there every Wednesday, even this past Wednesday. Not even playing, he was there supporting the league. How you doing, Dan?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, buddy. We're good. You guys had a pretty interesting season. Was this season what you guys expected, or was it just kind of like, was it a shock, or how did you guys feel about how the season played out for you guys?
It was definitely underwhelming, to say the least. It was a lot of bad bounces and things that didn't go our way, and obviously the losing in the first round is never great, but we lost to a very good team that ended up beating us 3 times in that season. So
yeah, Firestorms is a tough team to beat. They are a tough team to beat. I mean,
they say that third one is always hard to get, but it happened this time.
Hey, I know that our little mini roast introduction here was about how you're more visible here than you are in your games, but that is the exact opposite of the truth. Whenever we played against you, Dan, I thought this was one of your best seasons. I've played on your team a couple times now, I think, right? At least I want to say twice.
One regular season and one summer season. So
yes, yeah. So Pim Shady, I think you drafted me.
I did.
And I gotta say, every season I've seen you get better and better, more confident out there. This season you were attacking the net, putting home goals like an animal. So I know I was joking with you ahead of time that we were going to give you some ribbing when we hosted you in here, but it was the exact opposite of what I thought I saw out of you this season. You did a great job keeping your focus in on games and really kind of lifting your team up with some of that endless energy kind of play. So
Yep.
Yeah, I try to I may not, get the most goals in the league or anything, but I like to I at least have fun trying to keep other guys from getting the most goals in the league.
I gotta say too, before I give it back to the mayor here, being on a team where you've got Fos and Tom and Jesse, and all three of those guys are the type of players who are capable of being the spotlight hogging, stat producing players for the team by themselves. But you got all three of them on the team at the same time, and between you and Ellen and Chatterton, I thought you guys were fantastic all season. One of the better depth kind of producing teams that were there. So it's easy. What I'm saying is it's easy to have maybe got lost in the fact that you had technically 3 first rounders on your team, or at least Jesse's always been at least a high second. So to have that kind of top 3 talent and still shine like you bottom 3 guys did and gal did was that's saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I gotta agree with everything that 2.0 is saying here, and I feel like you definitely are one of the sneakier ones on the court. You find ways to get into lanes that need to be shut down, and I'm not going to reference the nickname that Tim has given you in the past. I don't know how I feel about that nickname. I feel as if you are a very good defenseman, but I'm not going to go to that extent.
He specifically
coming from and what he means by it.
He specifically asked me to make that not part of the roast.
I just said something different because I'd already heard that one a series of times.
A series of times?
A series.
A series of times.
Weekly from Tim.
That's definitely, that's his way of communicating. But I mean, from a goalie perspective, I would love to have you on my team. Because again, you're just a very well-rounded player, and I think this season was a good breakout season for you. And I feel like it was a great breakout season for a lot of mid-range to lower draft picks. I mean, you, Glenn, Ellen, like everyone just had really great seasons. And I feel like you took advantage of the opportunity of, like what 2.0 said, is you had some highlight reel players on your team and you found ways to not be buried underneath that. And do you think there's something about this season that felt like you found the opportunities to jump in that, or did you change something this season with your play style?
I don't know. I think I just tried to, John is, really good player, obviously the best number 1 overall pick he was. So, it's just, he's obviously, different. I've played with, Sweet as the number 1, and I played with Paul as the number 1, and they're just, different. So you gotta, get used to, who the best guys on your team are, and kind of like try to, figure out around, their strengths too, I guess.
Makes sense. Now, based on the season, I feel like you guys had a slow start, and then you guys really kind of exploded near the end. Was there anything that kind of stood out to you where you guys felt like the momentum was rolling your way? Did you feel anything, or was there any kind of like highlights that jumped out to you at the second half of the season?
Yeah, well, just like I said, it's, once we started playing together more games, it started to, build that, connectivity and, start winning some games like that. And then unfortunately, Tom got injured the last or second last game of the season, and he wasn't, he was playing in the playoffs maybe 50%, probably even less than 50%. So that was definitely, tough break for him for sure. And so
Yeah, I feel like that definitely played a role at in the first round exit for you guys, because I feel like you guys definitely were on a high. I made a comment on the podcast last weekend on one of the broadcasts I had with you. You guys were 3-2 in your last 5, so I mean, you guys were definitely rolling the right way. So I mean, injuries definitely kind of affected that, and just I mean, and you also had some attendance issues too. I mean, the game we played against you guys, I mean, you guys only had 4 players that game, so
Oh,
um,
that was a rough.
Don't bring that one up again, right?
I mean, I don't have much to brag about this season, so if I got to make any kind of brags, I got to throw what I can.
That was the one where Sweet Mercy subbed for us. And
Second period, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there was no rules that night. Sweet just put on the gloves, and Kyle was like, I think Sweet's just gonna play, and we're like, well, is he allowed to? And Kyle's like, I don't know, he's just gonna do it. And they're like, okay, but yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of that game was just different. That was Kyle wanting redemption for losing the first week, and then just the fact that you guys only had 4 players and we were down a guy, so like neither team could have subs. We just Kyle said 100 shots. We want 100 shots tonight, and we just started shooting everything we had. And poor Brandon ended up getting punished for it. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, that one was forgettable.
Well, Masson, you got any questions for Dan before we get in his predictions?
Yeah, Dan. What was it like playing with Tom and Dan at full speed? I mean, would you say injuries were like in the beginning of the season that they didn't play many games together? Was that the case? I mean, when they played together, did they click? What was your perspective on that? 2 first rounders, basically.
Yeah, they seem to, but yeah, I feel like I can't remember exactly, but it definitely seemed like there was, some games where there was at least one person missing.
Yeah.
So it was
stuff.
Yeah,
it was for chemistry.
It just kind of happens like that, though. And then, Tom got injured at the end, but
yep.
I can't really blame, being down a guy or anything like that. We got still five other guys on the team. So
it's difficult, though, when you're first or second rounder, like in the case of Tommy's hurt. And I know Fo's missed a few games here and there. So, yeah, definitely feel your pain from that standpoint. So.
Yeah, and then like I said, in the playoffs, we just I feel like that game was. And what happened was we just got in the playoffs they got out to a quick lead, and we just couldn't couldn't overcome that. So
yep,
you guys did almost come back in that game. You had 7 straight. Kenton couldn't stop 7 shots, just 7 straight goals.
That was a vicious comeback. Oh my God. That was like, they could do this here. It was like, there was another 15 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, this might happen here. That was crazy. Never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how many we got.
7. It was at least 7, wasn't it, Rob?
Oh, I know distinctively because Kenton cursed it. I don't know if you watched the previous podcast, but Kenton made a save that wasn't a save, and he turned around and looked at me. He goes, "That's a save, right? Mark it down as a save." And I was like, "Sure, dude." And I jokingly wrote it down as a save.
To tell him.
And from that moment on, he let in 7 straight. He boom, shot goal, and I am sitting next to Sidor, and I looked at him and was like, ever since he made that joke, he's let in 3 straight. He let in 4 straight. He let in 5. It just kept going. I was like, hopefully Kenton breaks the curse soon, because they're just scoring at will right now.
Poor Kenton. Good dude.
Well, Dan, we appreciate you being on the podcast. Let me hear what your thoughts on the finals on Wednesday.
Let's see. I think it's going to be very close, but I think Fukushima is going to take it.
It's a good battle. I feel like we're getting a lot of leniency towards Fukushima here, and kind of putting on the pain on La Tremblay Mountain. So
I remember they were my least favorite team to play against this season, besides obviously Firestorms, because we had to play them 3 times.
Me?
I'm sorry.
but yeah, that they're a really tough team. They they're both really tough teams, but like I said, it's going to be close, but that's what my prediction is.
Appreciate it, Dan. I just want to let you know, if you don't remember this or have heard it before, I did have you guys pegged as the championship team this year from draft night. I did. I had all my balls in your court. So
Oh, you did?
oh yeah. I just, after watching that draft, I looked back at it and I said, this team is scary. Jesse, Foes, Tom, Chatterton sneaking all the way down to the 5th round. Like it was just a scary team. And
Sure.
and I mean, Ellen's on the rise. You know, she's gonna be a fierce player very soon. She's already bringing fear to a lot of people. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I had you guys pegged to be that team, but the RFHL does crazy things.
Yeah, you had all of Mayer's balls, and then he had like what 26 of yours. So,
Jeez.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Well, Dan,
God.
thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks. Appreciate you too.
thanks, Dan.
You playing the Scrub Cup?
I guess I will. I haven't heard anything, but I will.
All right. Well, we'll see you Wednesday.
See you guys Wednesday. All right, later.
See you, Dan.
All right. Moving on up to the 3 producers of the podcast. All made early exits to the playoffs, but our next guest thinks he's a podcast host, but we haven't had the heart to tell him. Rob Maston, how you
This is a
doing?
weird way of telling me, man. No. Is it the Cooking with Dan, or was it when I brought Sweden for Always Sunny in Philadelphia segment? Which one was it that did me in?
I gotta say, one of my favorite things about the rotational hosting that we did for this season was that all of the episodes, and I heard a couple people around the league say this each week. They said every episode felt like a different episode, like it had its different kind of flow, or people had different kind of thing. Like your episodes all had like a little, almost like a little like Saturday Night Live, like little bit to it.
You can, I love Saturday Night Live, so that's a huge compliment.
Yes.
Like, or my poorly like performed Saturday Night Live bits, like where I was shocked that Dan was on the cooking channel that night.
I still remember when I was watching the episode where Cooking with Dan accidentally comes in, and all I could think of was that someone in post is going to put like one of those record scratches in and be like, oh, this is the wrong show. But I'm like, I'm watching it and I didn't expect it. I didn't know it was coming. And I almost did a spit take with my coffee. Like I was just like, this is great. This is exactly what I thought it was going to be. So that was great.
I think the best part about that episode too was the fact that, I mean, not good for you, unfortunately for you, but you were having internet issues. And I swear to God, like it just felt like a bit, because not only was the beginning just hilarious, but then you had the internet issues. And I swear every time your internet came back, you were like getting closer.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like,
I noticed that
this has to be a bit. This has
It was
to be
unintentional comedy right there, I'll tell you. And let me tell you, Shane Ryan, the MVP that he came through for me, because obviously it was not a bit, and he just kept on going. And then I would appear back, be like, "Hey guys, are you still talking?" You know. So
yeah, I mean that carried that episode.
I noticed the same thing with like the slowly getting closer, and that's when I was like, this has got to be on purpose. It like I just kept I'm like, it's definitely on purpose.
I couldn't figure out why that happened in retrospect either. Keller was bringing it up. Keller brought it up as it was happening. I'm like, he must be joking with me. And no, he was definitely right when I watched it. I was like, eesh, that's too close.
Oh man, well, let's get into the season. You guys had a great season. You guys, I feel like you had a barely slow start, and then it was just like fire. And oddly enough, being a sinkhole team, you guys did the opposite of going down. You went just up,
and then down.
and just one quick down. But I mean, Brad with just a clutch season,
4
so
overtime.
many clutch goals.
Yep.
I mean, what would be your standout from this season? Any standout plays, games? What kind of jumped out to you?
Alex Packard jumps out to me as he was very vocal all season for us. He was one of the only people that was in the chat telling us, this is what to expect from each game and calling out, hey, where are you? And not for nothing, but like when you make a good defensive play, you always hear Alex back, great job, and then he just really fit well onto our team, and I'm really glad I got to play with him again. The second season in a row I got to play with him, but he just really stood out this year as far as he stole some games for us at the end of the year. And he was, of course, the first, to like say, oh, sorry, guys. He's just like Matt McCarchuk, who's looking in on us. I keep seeing that. You guys, nobody can see it, but it looks like he's trying to get in on the podcast. But yeah, and it wasn't him. We left. Oh, he's back. But we left him out to dry in the playoffs, and I felt really bad because he had such a good season. Definitely one of the best goalies of the year that I've ever played with. So I really feel like, Brad and rookie Jeff, early season connection. That's why I drafted him, like trying to stop Brad and Jeff's shot were huge. I enjoyed playing with Lally's hustle. Andrew Keller made his first rookie season very memorable. I think he'll go a bit higher next year because of his defense. And then George, I always say this, and I couldn't believe he fell to me where he did. He's one of the better two-way players in the RFHL. His defense just doesn't stop. He's one of the better defenders. Remember Michael Pekka from the Buffalo Sabres? I would equate him to the RFHL's Michael Pekka because he can shut down the other team's best player, get in their head a little bit, and then you see him score like he had one of the craziest goals I've ever seen this year on Brett, where Brett makes that save, where he was in the slot, Brett makes that save almost every time, and he just flipped it over. And I'm like, oh my God, that was one of the better goals I've ever seen. So just the whole team. It was a privilege for playing with them. We had a really good winning streak, and we're disappointed in the playoffs, but those are the breaks in the RFHL. These 8 seeds are tough to come by this for the past couple of years. So.
I gotta say that Mike Pekka comp might be the most accurate player comp I've ever heard made about an RFHLer. That's like dead on.
Thanks. Yeah, he's one of my favorite players to play with that I've ever had. He's just goes out there and does this job, and he's, like I said, our chat. I think I've talked to 2.0 about this before. Our team's chat compared to his team's chat, ours was like once a week. Like, we got a game tonight, right? And that was about our team's chat this whole year. But when everybody came to play every week, we had a full team for the most part. And when we didn't, we kind of made up for it. So just really enjoyed playing with these guys this year.
Just like I was going to say, just like the Syracuse Crunch, though, you got eliminated in the first round. So.
Yeah, poor George had to hear about that, the 3-game sweep from the Amerks. Yeah. So
I was gonna sneak that in there, but it's good. That's all right. I'll let you take it. So you're the only captain we've got on the podcast, and so I kind of wanted to get your opinion on it. What was your game plan going into the draft with this team?
That goalie run that we had was nothing like I've ever seen. Like, we've had goalie runs before, but they kind of like 2 in the second, 2 in the third. And I was planning on taking like, in the Alex Kazmark range, and then Kazmark went, and I knew Alex was my guy. He played with him the season before that, and he's just really built up his game. So was happy to see that. And then once it got back to getting floor players, I almost went with Dr. K with my third pick, but I played with Jeff Chopin in the Winter Classic, and he has such a snipe shot, kind of like just if he gets like a second, he's got a great shot. So I'm like, I'm going to play with him. It's his first year, and I actually even told George this. I almost took him at that spot too. And when he went through the 4th round and came back to me, I was so happy to get him where he did. So I felt very fortunate to get him where I did. Keller, being a rookie, I knew I wanted to get him, and he fell to me where he did. And then Lally was one of my good friends from high school, so it just really came together the way I wanted it to. It just worked out really well as far as who I wanted to get. So I was really happy about that.
Good. I'm glad to get some insight on that because I believe, and I'm double checking on it right now, but you were the most rookie heavy team this season. And then
Yep.
I remember looking at it and I was kind of curious to see why you went that route. So now it kind of got a little more insight on your draft makes a little bit more sense there.
And Brad, and when I got Brad I was so happy I got Brad because he makes everybody on the floor on his team, he makes everybody better. His passing doesn't get enough credit. I mean, his shot is a freaking rocket, but his passing, some of the plays he set up this year were unbelievable. He's got 2 or 3 people. It seemed like he had 2 or 3 people on him, and everyone's just like, "Oh, okay." But how he got some of those passes through, he's just a great facilitator. Obviously, I'm biased, but he was my player of the year for how he played this year. Just a great, not just a great shot, but a great teammate, great passer, great all-around defensive player. He doesn't have a weakness to his game for the way we play in the RFHL.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you have some really great core players. And I mean, when it comes to Brad's passing, I feel like when Brad realizes the tools that he has, he finds the way to use those tools.
Yep.
And Jeff was one of those. I feel like I didn't notice it in the first few games, but then by like game 3 or 4, like Brad knew, okay, if Jeff's on the floor, I'm going to create an opening. And so many times, especially on broadcasts, and even when I played against him, Brad would just make so much movement that Jeff would basically sneak around to another side alone, and Brad would just one tee him up every time. And like you said, with that shot.
Yeah.
And then George, I got a chance to play with George. I think it was a scrub cup last season, or maybe sub for our team last season. It was the only time I ever played with George. And the way George plays is, like you said, that the comparison is perfect. And just he's so like elusive almost. He's quiet, but he's fast, and I had a great goal from a play that he set up to me because he just was so sneaky, and I was all the way on the other side, but he knew I was going to be crashing, and he knew where to put that puck. Like, it's just real smart. And I feel like that's definitely a draft pick that kind of went way later than it probably should have been. So it make a lot of the things that happen this season make me really excited to see what that fall draft.
Yep. And then we'll have our wild card chips fall into where not everybody can play, and then so it's just I love this league for that very thing. Is next year is going to be a whole different ball game, and I just love this league the way it's set up. And we've often told Dan and Sweet, best league I've ever played in, and it never stops getting better. It really, and then this year with the broadcasts and everything with the POJ, man, we just keep upping our game, and humble brag to all of us because it's just such a great league.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely been a pivotal part of helping these broadcasts and the podcasts go. And I mean, I think these changes have been awesome for the league. And I mean, again, you've been a huge part of them. So appreciate you always helping and being there for them
as well. And it all came from that, listening to you on broadcasts and 2.0 at the draft. I couldn't do it this year with him because we had done them a lot in the past where 2.0 and I did them, but he put together a really good panel. And I'm like, why can't we do this on a weekly basis? Why can't we do this on a weekly basis? So I was really glad. And we differentiated ourselves from the old COJ podcast. They weren't even called podcasts back then.
Well, the return of Mel Piper.
That's
Jr.
right. That's right. Yep. That's right. That's right.
Well, before we get into Rob's predictions 2.0, do you have anything else for Maston?
No, I was going to kind of echo what you said already. It was great doing these podcasts with you, getting them rolling. Kind of like I like the format. We were kind of rotating who was going to host, but then bouncing ideas off each other and then offering up ideas for someone else to use just because, we all thought it was great. And it just, I think that's what makes these podcasts, something that everybody looks forward to now is that each one of them is going to be a little bit different, but then we're all kind of supporting each other to make sure each week's show is the best show it can be. So I certainly love doing them. I hope we get to keep doing them. I know we kind of toyed with the idea of maybe even if it was just like doing one of them over the summer. But obviously Sweet Meat needs a break in the summer and he takes his time off. He heads to that beach that the mayor had in his background with the
back there somewhere.
with the movementless surf there, and just probably has a whole bottle of sunscreen on just to make sure he's, staying unburnt.
We're still looking for him at Highmark, right?
Yeah. In case you don't know, I gotta say, so this couple seasons ago, we went to the night game. It was the Bills versus the Patriots, and it was that one that was kind of like a hurricane and a blizzard at the same time.
So cold.
So Sweet and K-Flow and a couple others had ridden up with me, and we met Maston after doing some tailgating. And all I got to say is that the end of the game rolled around, and we all got back to the car except for Sweet. And we're just sitting there waiting. And I'm texting him, not getting a reply. Someone calls, not getting a reply. Finally, we get a message from him, and he's like, "Where are you guys?" And we're like, Where are you? So he pulled up Google Maps, and he it's got that little blue pin where you're located, and he takes a screenshot of it, sends it. He was like 8 blocks over from where we parked. And to this day, I don't know how he still got back, but we were like, do we need to send someone over to you? I don't know, but yeah, he was in a different zip code. So
you guys get credit for a rescue mission for that one.
Yeah, it was a good time. So
all right, well, Maston, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this game on Wednesday? Who's taking it?
It's no surprise to me that these two teams are playing 8 seed or not. Mark, I don't know how 2 seasons in a row he's been the 8th seed, but somehow, we all got to form together and stop that. And then from the draft, this Fukushima face-off, nobody wanted to play them. Playing 2 games against them this year, nobody wanted to play them, and I was right there on that list. There's not a player that takes a play off. However, in the other goal is Mark, and they have a great defensive presence. Dan Hook's 2-way play, the forechecking. I just can't see anybody beating playoff Mark right now. He's just on top of it. So no disrespect to anybody. Like I said, on the Fukushima face-off, I really feel like this is a game for Los Tremblements, which I still can't pronounce after 3 months. And I wanted to point out the third factor that nobody's brought up, and I want to bring this up. Mr. Shane Reisinger, he's going for the 3-peat, boys. He's going for the 3-peat, and that is my dart. That when I had to think of what the deciding factor is, I said Shane Reisinger, and I'm probably mispronouncing that too. This will be his
Rowan Gardner.
But he had 3 goals against us where we're like, where the hell did he come from? He does it I've been on the same team with him. So it's like, how the hell could I forget about Shane just being right spot and putting himself in the right places? So, Shane and he's the deciding factor to me. I hope that's my prediction.
It's a good call, and I mean, I'm not to spoil any predictions in the future, but I mean, I'm hoping for my boy Shane here, and I mean, it all stems back from when we had our ship run and we won the championship last spring. So,
yep.
Definitely high hopes for him, and I mean, we'll get into that a little bit further down the road here, but yeah, I mean, Le Tremblements is a good battle for Fukushima here.
Sure.
All right, well, we are down to our final 2 people on this panel here. And I don't need to introduce him, but you'll always know when he's on the floor because he's definitely letting you know where to be and what to do. 2.0.
I was wondering if you're gonna find a little mini roast for me, and yeah, I you know what, I'm gonna surprise you right now, because as soon as I heard you making that comment about he's probably out there yapping, I'm gonna keep this brief. I'm gonna keep it real short and sweet. You can set a timer. Here we go. So it's funny. Maston took one of my points I was going to make just in case anybody else didn't get to it, with Shane Rowan Gardner getting his chance at the unicorn, as it's become known as. And I got to say, there's this running joke that everybody in the RFHL wants to win it, and everybody in the RFHL wants no one else to win it. And it's become this you like an obligation to stop it from happening. And I will say that in our team chat last week, we were talking about it, and Sweet especially was saying we got to stop him. We can't let him have a chance at it. But my prediction for this week is that you have a chance, and when I say you, I mean everybody who's watching who is not playing in this game. You have a chance to come and see RFHL history being made, because I think Le Tremblement is going to win this game. I think Shane is going to be the first unicorn in RFHL history. I think that that's something I always jokingly tried to keep from happening also, but now I kind of want to see it, because I got to say, couldn't happen to a better person, right? Like, you would expect someone to win the unicorn being your every single year first round pick, carries a team, just elevates everybody type player. But how about your dark horse, second place on the team in points, sneaky good all season long, every season he's played in type player? That's the kind of guy I would love to see finally get the unicorn and break that mold. And Shane is definitely that guy. He's your utility knife. He's your Swiss Army knife. He's your guy who's going to do it all and be a great teammate and be that guy you can joke around with after the game. And yeah, couldn't happen to a better person. And I'm kind of rooting for it a little bit. Now I got to say, I know I said I was going to keep this brief, so all I want to say real quick about Fukushima is that at the beginning of the season, I had them picked as being in the finals. And I think that it's no surprise that they're here. And they play a great game. They play a really, as the season's gone on, they've played with more structure. I think early on, they looked like a chicken with their head cut off, but they were able to pull it off because they were talent heavy. They were forecheck heavy. They were the type of team that just ground you down. So they didn't have to have that structure, but adding that element to their game over the last several weeks has really made them one of the tougher teams to play against. So even though my final prediction for this one, I'll even throw out a score for you. I think this one's going to be a 6-5 Le Tremblement victory. And even though I think Le Tremblement's going to win this one, I think it's going to be the type of game where both teams are going to be at each other's throats, and it's probably going to require some heavy refereeing early on. But at the same time, I think it's going to be one of the best finals you'll see in RFHL over the last several years, if not ever. And you have a chance to see some history. So I hope everybody comes onto the stage, watches that game, enjoys, razzes, banters from the stage, whatever you got to do. But make sure you're there, because this one's going to be great, and it's going to come right down to the end.
That was not brief.
Nope, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I knew it wasn't going to be, because the whole time I kept thinking, yeah, no, I can't do it.
That was so well spoken.
It was good. It was good.
Very well spoken. And I mean, I'm just going to go on I'm going to continue on the Reisinger rant real quick. Shane's a good friend of mine. I've known Shane for a while, and I'm actually, the reason I'm in the RFHL now officially is because of Shane. I've dabbled around in the RFHL for a while. I worked with Kyle Antilla, and I played in a Winter Classic back at Monroe Ave, and then I've been kind of looped in with the RFHL guys by playing with you in the Arcade Winter Classic out there. But Shane actually is the reason why I'm technically in the RFHL, because Shane was on a playoff run when he was on Dan Hawk's team a few seasons ago, and they were plagued by a goalie injury. I guess the second half of their season they didn't have a goalie, and then I subbed. Shane actually reached out to me in the beginning of that season. He goes, "Have you ever heard of this RFHL?" And I was like, yeah, dude, it's a great league. Like, I've wanted to play in there, but I play roller hockey on Wednesdays. And he was like, oh, I just signed up. I'm excited to play. And I was super happy for him, because I've played hockey with him here and there in different couple of places, but nothing like legit. So I was super happy for him to like land in a league and like find something great for him, a great fit. And then, yeah, we were talking, and they needed a goalie sub. So I subbed for him. Sweet, let it happen, being an outside player. And I subbed for them. Then I ended up subbing their whole playoff run. Unfortunately, choked it in the the championship just because I didn't know RFHL rules, and I didn't cover a puck at the end because I was like, oh my god, there's less than 10 seconds left. Let me just keep the puck moving instead of covering it, which would have stopped, I guess, the clock. But I kept the puck moving and then Sweet dumped an empty netter in. So whatever. But from that moment on, I played goalie in the RFHL. Now I'm here. So yeah. Moving from that, I mean, might as well just throw out my predictions here. I'm leaning for Shane to take that three-peat. And I'm leaning for the Tremblant Mountains to win this one. Interesting thing that I've been thinking about the last couple weeks, especially now that this 8th seed is on a run, is this is the second season where the 8th seed goes to the finals. It's also the second season where the number 1 draft pick on the 8th seed kind of missed almost half the season. Brad, the first half of the season last season in the fall, he was injured. I think he missed like the first game or two, and then he was nursing an injury for a few games. So I feel like that played an impact on why they were an 8th seed. Not to take anything away from how good that team was, because neither one of these 8th seed teams are bad teams. So I don't think that they're just like somehow riding a miracle here. But I also don't foresee that if either one of those teams that were healthy 100% of the season, if they would have been 8th seed teams, in my opinion. And again, not to take away from this awesome run of seeing an 8th seed team win. Just an interesting thing that I thought about, where Dan's been kind of going through his injury run this season and missed a few games. And even if he didn't miss a few games, he tried to play and then ended up just sitting, and the team played shorthanded for the remainder of the game. So I think that might have impacted the way they were, because this team is well-rounded. Like, Tremblay Mounds is a well-rounded team. From the first game I broadcasted, I think I said that with Shane Ryan in the booth. I was like, this team's well-rounded. They're just a good, well-rounded team, and everyone on the team scored that first game. Every single player got a goal. And that kind of a mentality kind of carried through the whole season. Glenn stepping up with an incredible season. Gladding is just a great defensive force in front of the net. Had a couple battles with him. Fish and Chips, who is just kind of like floats under the radar and had a quiet season, had an awesome game last week in the playoffs. His defensive stick was everywhere it needed to be. And instead of just dumping it, making quick dumps every time he got possession, he possessed that puck and pulled it behind the net. He held onto it and then would just dump opposite corners, killing clock. Just the way that team plays so well together. And then if you get Shane, Glenn, and Dan out there at the same time, I run out of breath trying to think about keeping up with that line. Like, that is exhausting. But then on the flip side, you've got Fukushima, which everyone so far has said nobody wanted to play them. And it wasn't, the main reason was their grindiness. You've got Dr. K, you've got Furlano, you've got Sidor, you've got, looking for sticks, Kurt, these guys are, you would say, physical, but they're great hockey players. They don't give up on the puck. They grind. And if you go into a corner battle, not only will they try and battle you with their body, but they are going to fight for that puck, and they don't quit. You get away from them, they're going to chase you down. I think I saw Furlano 4 times last week where I was like, oh, they're going to take it. And he just didn't stop. He kept with the puck and he followed through. So, I mean, that team is exhausting in that sense. Ramsey is definitely the quarterback of that team. He knew what he was doing when he put that team together, and he's a very good quarterback, as I said, with the puck. He knows where to pass the puck. He knows how to lead his team, and I think it's going to be a very gritty team. And I would have almost said the same exact score that 2.0 said.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of saying a different score. I think it's going to be a 1-goal game, if not an overtime game. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, 6-5 is a good score, but maybe it's going to be 8-7. But I'm like, I don't see how either one of these goalies are going to let more than 6 goals in my opinion. Kaz, again, 3 out of the 4 seasons going to the finals, and he's a phenomenal goalie. He's just, I want to ship with him. I support that dude all the way. I believe he's going to get drafted higher in the fall if he plays goalie in the fall. Then you've got Mark, who's just, God, he hasn't let in more than 8 goals this whole playoff run, and he's just was electric last week. So looking at all these players on the floor between the two of them, and then I forgot to mention his name, Blotz. That dude, I've watched him just be where he needs to be. These guys, it's going to be a tough game, And 2.0 made a comment of probably one of the best games that we're going to see in the RFHL. And I personally, it's hard for me to lean one way or the other. I don't want to take the cop out and say the team who scores the most is going to win. I'm going to say Les Tremblay Mons only because I'm leaning for Shane on this one to win that unicorn. But it's going to be probably one of the best games in the last few seasons for the RFHL to watch. So if you can't make it to the stage and get loud and rowdy and throw jerseys on the floor, definitely tune into the broadcast, which I think I'm going to call this one. I'm looking to do the broadcast for this game. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a fight, and I'm real excited to watch it.
It's an RFHL showcase game for sure. All these years of almost 30 years, and this has got to be one of the most exciting playoff games that I can remember coming up here. And I'm not gonna. There's a curse that one of the curses that I'm not gonna say it on the air. We'll talk about it after if we do another episode. But definitely a showcase game for the RFHL, and it's definitely a huge representation of what we are as a league with this game coming up here.
Agreed. 2.0, you got any final thoughts here?
No, just it's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed doing these each week. I hope we get to continue them in the fall, if not a couple, maybe over the summer. That does make me want to just speak a quick reminder that the summer ball, the Westgate ball hockey is going to be in full swing. I think the draft for that is June 4th. Yeah. And we got the whole Fridman family. I was joking with Mama Fridman last week and asking her if she was going to play a game, if she was going to have a celeb shot shift on whichever team she drafts. And she's like, "Do you think I should?" And I was like, first of all, I wasn't expecting her to entertain that joke.
Come on, a
like that.
Hockey game? No way.
Yeah, well, and then so she's got her husband right there too, and I'm thinking, man, she's like now she's showing off, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. But at the same time, that's going to be a fun storyline. That a house divided over there in Westgate area, and yeah. So I just this has been great. I hope we can maybe do a couple more. But June 4th, summer ball. If you got nominated for an award, make sure you show up to Wednesday night. And be there. And then of course the fall season announcement too. I believe Sweet said he's going to announce fall season. I've got an inkling about what it's going to be. We talked up how Matt McCarchuk's goals against average needs to match our comments against average for this week's podcast here. So leave a comment who you think is going to win the finals. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Rob, back to you, buddy.
Well, like you said, this is the 30th season coming up in the fall, so it's big things. 25th season was awesome. Hunger Games theme. It was wild, so you don't want to miss the announcement on Wednesday. Come to the game, cheer it on, get loud and rowdy. It's going to be fun. It's the RFHL. It's been a pleasure to be in this league. And I don't know, I don't want to repeat what you guys have been saying, but I'm going to. It's been a pleasure doing the podcast with all of you guys each week. Rotating, taking turns, being in the chat with you guys, doing these broadcasts. It's honestly, it's a lot. It's extra stuff to my life, but it's so much fun. I love doing this thing, and I've been egging Sweet to do this kind of stuff since I joined the league, so I'm really excited to be doing it. So, yes, sir. But yeah, here we go. The Les Tremblay Mons are favored 4-2 votes out of all 6 of us here over Fukushima. 7:30. At I don't know how to pronounce the name of the school. Don't miss it. Be there. But until then, is it Wednesday yet?